We welcome Debby Andersen, healer. Debby Andersen is a certified Ayurvedic practitioner and yoga therapist specializing in women's health. For over 10 years, she has guided women through hormonal changes, metabolic challenges, fertility, postpartum recovery, and menopause. Trained at the Ayurvedic Institute under Dr. Vasant Lad, Debby brings ancient wisdom into modern life, offering practical tools to restore vitality and deepen connection to body and spirit. Welcome, Debby.
"20 years ago, I was at an ashram in northern India, in the picturesque Himalayan foothills, with the worst case of diarrhea I had ever experienced. Instead of joining the group hike to the source of the Ganges, I was confined within the walls of the women's bathroom. It was not only embarrassing, but frustrating. I actually cried. I felt helpless and broken. So how did a Midwestern girl like me end up at an ashram in India? After graduating with a BFA in dance from the University of Iowa, I did what most professional dancers do. I waited tables. After about a year, I managed to scrape together enough money to pursue one of my dreams, to travel the world for a year. By the time I arrived in India, I had been living out of a backpack for 6 months. I was exhausted, depleted, and shitting my guts out. But here's where everything changed. Once I got to the ashram, I was introduced to Ayurveda, the ancient Indian system of medicine. Through the lens of Ayurveda, I began to understand how all of that movement, the dance, the travel, the lack of routine, had left my nervous system dysregulated and my body depleted. Ayurveda calls this vata aggravation, which is like too much chaotic, ungrounded energy. But for the first time in years, ashram life required me to be still. Each day followed a predictable rhythm: yoga at sunrise, simple meals, early to bed. Within days, I felt better than I had in years. Less reactive, more stable and at ease in my body. Of course, the antibiotic helped too. Ayurveda helped me finally see the connections between diet, lifestyle, stress, and our overall health. And that's when I knew I had to learn more, to share this with others. When I returned to the US a few months later, I was eager to join local yoga classes, but the classes I found were more like a gym workout. They left me more drained than nourished. It felt entirely different from the practice I'd grown to love. So the following year, I decided to go back to India. I completed my first of now several yoga certifications and deepened my studies in Ayurveda. Something in me knew this was the medicine that could help me balance my body and mind. When I returned stateside, I moved to San Antonio and began teaching yoga while weaving Ayurvedic principles into my own life, as best as I could. But it was hard without a teacher or mentor. I was figuring it out mostly on my own, which is why in 2012, I felt called to go deeper. I moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, just in time for the International Balloon Fiesta, to study at the Ayurvedic Institute with Dr. Vasant Lad. Those 2 years changed me profoundly, not only shaping me as a practitioner, but helping me restore my own health. This treatment is called Shirodhara. Warm oil is poured over the forehead to soothe the mind and nervous system. I learned to heal myself and others through treatments like this, along with nourishing foods, herbs, breath, and daily self-care. My teacher, Dr. Laud, says that true health means being rooted in oneself. After those 2 years, I finally understood what that meant, which was good timing because that foundation of health gave me the resilience to endure what came next. Just 6 months after completing my studies, my longtime partner, Matt, died suddenly of a heart condition. After 2 years immersed in Ayurveda, the science of life, I was confronted with a harsh lesson in death and grief. In those first months, it was all I could do to survive. Even breathing felt like work. I couldn't practice yoga and had no desire to cook. What helped me the most was long walks, time in nature, in the slow rhythm and steady cycles of the earth. The love and support of my friends, family, and community was the medicine that connected me to something larger than my own grief. I continued to share Ayurveda and yoga, which gave me a sense of purpose. Helping others heal helped heal me. In 2018, I returned to India to study with Dr. Laud, to be back in his presence, and to re-immerse myself in the teachings of Ayurveda and ashram life. That return to India wasn't only about learning, it was a way to reconnect to the roots of the tradition, my teacher, and myself. Ayurveda isn't only about herbs or food or warm oil. It's an ancient system that teaches us to respect the intelligence of nature and to support that vitality in ourselves. It reminds us we're not separate from nature. The same elements that make up the earth also make up our bodies. When we live in alignment with nature, healing goes both ways. What restores us also restores the earth. Caring for the earth helps us reconnect to her rhythm. In today's fast-paced world, that kind of relationship is medicine we all need. Ayurveda has guided my life now for more than 2 decades. When I think back to that first ashram experience where I took this picture, I remember the Swami telling me my digestive problems were a spiritual cleansing. At the time, I thought that was ridiculous, but looking back now, I suspect she was right.
True health means being rooted in oneself. Where may we find you and sign up?
So I have a website, and it's just my first and last name, Debby with a Y, Andersen with an E.com. So.
And do you think people, when you describe to them what you do you think they really understand what you do, what Ayurvedic practice is, and how may they find out more if they're curious about this world?
No, I don't think most people understand what it is, and it's really not something I could explain in 6 minutes and 40 seconds. But if you want to learn more about Ayurveda, you can just find me. I think one of the best ways to start is really through a consultation, because that's a way. Ayurveda is an individual medicine. It's not one size fits all, and so through that, I can get to know you and understand what things would help you get started with this system the best.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.